National Treasury, I don't know when I leave National Treasury as a CS. Some of you think I will leave in 2027. You may be disappointed. I may leave later. Again, I may leave earlier. I don't know. Ni Mungu ndiye anajua. But before I leave, I want to leave when the CS National Treasury does not have to go to Washington to ask for money. Not that I don't want to fly to America. Everyone else would want to go and see how Washington looks like. But I can go and do my private things. I don't have to go there begging for money all the time. And there is a way to get out of that. Finally, I always, when I talk to people, I tell them about personal finances. And this scheme is one way of managing your retirement. This scheme must be managed professionally. Mr. Chairman, we have history of NSSF in this country. We don't want to hear of a scheme like this buying Kaburini, buying forest land, getting involved in construction where the actual cost of construction is actually double what it should cost. Then you kill such a noble venture. Invest responsibly. The Board of Trustees, please invest responsibly. Grow this fund. Leave a legacy. I was working on some figures. I was looking at the return on investment, which looks very impressive. Anything above 11%. It's very impressive. I hope we continue in this trajectory. If you take a member, someone contributing today, and assuming that that person contributes 100,000, is earning 100,000 shillings, and you earn 100,000 for 15 years in service, which is also not possible. You will get salary increment. So you are contributing 7,500 to the scheme, and the employer contributes the same. And double. You contribute for 15 years, 100,000, at a rate of 11.5%. By the time you retire after 15 years in service, 15 years, which is very modest, you will have accumulated not less than 6.5 million into the fund. And then you will get a third of it as lump sum, which is 2.2 million. And you will be getting every month, because now the money will be put in an annuity program, and you get at least 42,000 shillings per month. That's an income replacement of over 40%. But the ideal income replacement should be about 70% of your last salary. That is when you can continue living a life that you were living before you retired. And if now you work like for 20 years, the figures will change. You'll find yourself getting about 3 million as you retire, and get almost 56 to 60,000, which is over almost 60% income replacement. So this scheme, if well managed, is a game changer in this country. It's a game changer. We need to support it, and support it well. The government will support it. We will release all the monies, deductions that are supposed to go to the scheme. We want to hope and pray and implore on the Board of Trustees to manage this fund prudently and effectively. There are only two ways of mismanaging such a fund. Actually, there could be three. No, there are two, because the other two are linked. Wrong investment decisions can collapse the scheme. Wrong investment decisions. Number two is corruption. Stealing scheme funds in whichever method would bring the scheme down. because that is not provided for in the actuarial calculations. When this scheme was set up, actuaries engaged their brains to determine how sustainable it would be. In that calculation, there was no provision for corruption. Board of Trustees, I want you to understand that. There was no provision for corruption. So you are distorting the formula. The moment you bring in corruption, you have distorted the formula. This scheme will be unsustainable. I hope I'm speaking to someone. Finally, what can bring this scheme down is unnecessary expenditure out of this scheme. You must maintain to the bare minimum the operational costs. Such a scheme is not meant to support the luxurious life of the managers of the fund, the trustees of the fund, the CEO of the fund. It was not meant. Actually, that again is also not factored in the calculation for the sustainability of the fund. I hope I've spoken to someone. Wacha sasa nimalize. Otherwise, I'll be accused of nitaanza kusema ninawasomea. As I conclude, let me remind you that the pension scheme signifies our pledge to secure the future of our public servants. I think I've said that. We must realize that we are all key drivers in this dream. The government, the Board of Trustees, the employees, and the members have a shared responsibility to promote sustainable social security for the members of the scheme. I urge you to actively utilize the resources available, engage with stakeholders, and actively participate in shaping the retirement journey that PSSS is mandated to secure. I take this opportunity to congratulate the Board of Trustees, management, and service providers for steering the scheme well this far. I urge you to stay true to your fiduciary responsibility in managing members' retirement benefits. I wish you fruitful deliberations in this annual general meeting and call upon you all to work towards the success of this scheme. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause to our chief guest, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'm aware the chief guest is about to leave. Let me just invite in 1 minute Dr. Jonah to confirm minutes. Thank you. Please, 1 minute. Thank you. We may need to release the chief guest. There was a gift for the chief guest. Where is it? A gift for the chief guest. And one photo down here. CEO, you can just lead the chief guest to take a photo. Down here, sir. With Board of Trustees, please come down to take a photo with the chief guest. He has got a minute for us. As we take the photo, let's have the gift to the chief guest. Meanwhile, let's have the band give us a number. That concurrently can save a minute. Let's have the gift for the chief guest. Director Njoroge. Let's have the gift for the chief guest, and meanwhile, we have a photo session, and the chief guest leaves at his own pleasure. Thank you. Let's have the gift. Let us have the gift to the chief guest. Makofi jamani, makofi kidogo. Asante sana our chief guest for gracing the 3rd annual general meeting. Thank you very much. The chief guest may leave at his pleasure. Thank you very much. Bendi, tuendelee tafadhali. Mgeni wetu anapoondoka, na kisha baadaye turejelee ratiba ya siku ya leo. Bendi, tuendelee tafadhali. As we wait for the chair to come back, the board of trustees are here and also the CEO. Let me invite the board of trustees to come to our main stage. Board of trustees. Board of trustees, please come to the main stage. Welcome, welcome, board of trustees. Bendi, one last number as we wait for the chair. One last song as we wait for the chair to join us. And we kick off speeches from the service providers. Thank you very much, our band. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for this wonderful band, please. Tupigeni makofi bendi yetu, asante sana. Let me recognize the chair NSSF, wherever you are, sir. You may please wave to us, Chair NSSF. Thank you, you're most welcome. Let me also recognize Director Pension, Mr. Michael Gakiga. Mr. Michael, wherever you are, please wave to us. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me invite Daktari to confirm the minutes of the AGM for the financial year 2022-2023. Chairman, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. We are progressing on with our agenda, and we had our annual general meeting, the second annual general meeting, on the 7th of June 2024 at Kenya School of Government, and there are quite a number of things that we deliberated on. Much of the items were captured in summary, and they are now being displayed all over and were circulated to many members as possible. So we may not read word by word, but I just want to table before this annual general meeting the minutes of the second annual general meeting held on 7th of June 2024. On the first page of the meeting, we are capturing the list of attendees. We have also captured the key agenda on the second page, and also the deliberations, which included the introduction, the remarks by the sponsor, who was then represented by the National Treasury PS, Dr. Chris Kipto. We also captured the comments by the chief guest. We also had an agenda on reading the notice. We confirmed the minutes of the first AGM, that is captured on page number 4. We also did a presentation of audited financial statements for the 18 months ended 30th June 2023, or for the year ended 30th June 2023 rather. That is for the year beginning 1st July 2022 to 30th June 2023. We did presentations. We had presentations by our fund managers, our custodians, our administrator. We had remarks by the representative of the Retirement Benefits Authority. We had presentations by the trustees regarding the remuneration, and we had numerous questions, and also the trustees took note of those questions, answered quite a number of them, and ultimately we had a vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, members of PSSS pension scheme, I would want to table these minutes for confirmation. And the way we are going to do is by having a member standing up, pronouncing his or her name, and making a proposal. Then we'll also have a seconder. I hope I'm clear. A proposer for confirmation. And you must have been there during that particular meeting, the AGM which we held on 30th June. Can we have a proposer? Second. We are at the point of confirming the minutes of the last AGM, and we have tabled to you members, and we are looking for a proposer. It could be a member who is a member of the scheme and was present then. Yes, I can see Douglas Asanyo, who is a member of the scheme, making a proposal. If you don't have a mic, seconded by? Your name?
Donna.
Say again?
Donna.
Okay. So we have the confirmation of the minutes for the second annual general meeting, and the key things that were taken on We responded to the questions at that point, and we'll be able to pick it up from there. So having done that, I would want to hand over back to the MC of today for progression of the rest part of the agenda. For those who are just joining us, you note that we have had the very, very successful first session, and we are now progressing to receiving presentations from the service providers. So as the MC comes around, allow me, Chairman, to recognize that in the midst here, we have our service providers. And allow me to begin with one of us who we really work closely as the administrator of the scheme. To introduce him once again, that is Dr. Osea Kili. You can perhaps stand, and the rest of the team can also wave to the team. He has come with a big team, and we really appreciate the team we have with CPF. We also have our investment managers, the fund manager from Gen Africa, led by their CEO, Mr. Patrick Kariuki. You can stand together with your team. I can see Mohammed present also. We also have custodians. We have 3 custodians from Stanbic. We also have from Stanbic. Do we have representation from Stanbic? Yeah, karibu sana. We have custodian from NCBA. Thank you very much for coming. We also have a custodian from Cooperative Bank. Yes, she's coming. She will be there. Then beyond that, we have other advisors. I can see a team from Square Meter who are also giving us consultancy. You can start from wherever you are. We also have representative from the Retirement Benefits Authority. You'll also have an opportunity to address this team at an appropriate time. So having said that, Chair, I will hand over to the MC so that we can progress with the rest part of the agenda. MC.
Thank you very much, Dr. Now, to make a presentation for the audited financial statement for the year ended 30th June 2024, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to present to you Joseph Rono, who will also donate a minute to the CEO of CPF, Dr. Osea Kili. Welcome. Tumpigie makofi jamani. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, MC. Chair, standing on established protocol, allow me to invite our CEO first to speak, and then my noble fiduciary duty will be to run you through the numbers, which will take less than 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, Chairman of Board of Trustees of Public Service Superannuation Fund, the trustees, the CEO, the past or the Chairman Emeritus, that is Dr. Edward Otundo, and Titus Namuki, and also the former acting CEO, Alice Enrique, the other distinguished colleagues who have joined this particular meeting, and stakeholders, and of course, our esteemed members of the PSSF scheme. I would like to say good morning. Good morning. So, ladies and gentlemen, as one of the service providers, I have to say something before my officer goes through your accounts. And this is because when you are part of the inaugural team which established an institution like this one, which has now become a giant and growing to be bigger, then of course it's important to walk back and remind ourselves where we began from. So it's an honor for me today to stand before you at this third annual general meeting of the PSSF. I feel immense pride as I reflect on our achievements and challenges we have made to ensure that we have a brighter future for all our members of the PSSF. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to the government of Kenya for its visionary leadership in establishing a contributory scheme for Kenyan public servants. This progressive initiative demonstrates the government's unwavering commitment to secure the social security and welfare of the public servants and providing them with a reliable financial safety net for their future. I would also like to extend my deepest gratitude to the trustees and the secretariat. Your unwavering commitment and collaborative spirit have been instrumental in driving the growth and success of the public service scheme from its inception. The Public Service Superannuation Fund has laid a strong foundation for the financial security of members, and we commend the government for this forward-thinking initiative and also for being a very good sponsor. We manage, as CPF Financial Services, other funds, particularly the county governments, and I want to say we are up for challenges of unremitted contributions in those particular, from those employers, and we are very happy when we see the National Treasury as a sponsor here, really keeping its part of the bargain. I would like to urge that in its role as the fiscal agent for the entire country, National Treasury should really assist the counties to be able to also sort out this problem of unremitted contribution. We are also deeply honored and proud to be part of this monumental journey. As the inaugural fund administrator of the Public Service Superannuation Fund, along with the Secretariat, Fund Manager, and the Custodian banks, we at CPF Financial Services are dedicated to ensuring that the scheme operates with the highest standards of efficiency, transparency, and accountability. Of course, this has not been very easy. I mean, this is a large fund with more than 400,000 members. To maintain the data and records for such membership and make sure they are accurate, and the confirmation of how well we have also tried our best to do this from the inaugural time will also be demonstrated by the audited accounts and reports to be made by our Office of the Auditor General. As we celebrate our third AGM today, it's important to reflect on the progress we have made, especially concerning the challenges we faced at the beginning. Despite some initial setbacks, including a backlog in member data, because this scheme began, but it took time for it to be really commenced. So membership data was accumulated. That happened before our appointment into office. But we successfully produced the first set of audited financial accounts for the fund on time for the first AGM, and also managed to assist the trustees to organize the first AGM very successfully, despite the fact that the COVID-19 effects were still around. So the AGM was held, and it was also successful because of the technology platforms which we managed to use. We are proud that Public Service Superannuation Fund is now stronger than ever, and we remain fully committed to supporting this scheme as it continues to grow and evolve as a leading pension scheme in Kenya. I think the CS has echoed that this is a scheme which will be one of the biggest as we go forward. Now, for members, please, we have certain information which we require from you, the entire membership. We have some information, yes, from your employer, but they are very important and critical information we need to get from you. This is because having certain information from you personally helps us to validate the data we receive from the employer. Two, it helps us also to make sure that during the time when you make a claim, the turnaround time will be very fast, because we don't have to ask you to go back and bring certain documentations. So if we can have that information ahead of time in our system, we shall be very pleased. So there are certain, we are asking you to utilize the certain portals we have provided to give us this data. This includes also information about your next of kin. So I would like to say we will be engaging members so that we can have that information. So members, I want to reiterate that we are ready as an industry, just like the CS has challenged us, to bring forth investments in infrastructure in our country and contribute to impacting the lives of our people. And we shall do this because already as an industry, we have come together under the Back Hunters Club, which comprise the trustees, administrators, fund managers, custodians, etc., to be able to do this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the chairman for giving us this opportunity, and I would like to invite Mr. Ronald now to take us through the financial reports for the members for the financial year we just ended. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. So, members, I want to take you straight to the financials. The financials are on page number 1. Page number 1 is after Roman 34. I hope we still remember the Roman numbers, XXX1V. After that, we have the first statement there. It's also projected on the screen. And this is a statement of changes in net assets available for benefits. If this was a company, this will be what we call our P&L. And of course, during the period, dealings with members, this includes contributions, net of benefits paid, total 44.6 billion shillings, up from 37. I think the chairman had already explained the reason for that significant increase. And then in terms of the return on investment, quite significant increase in terms of the realized income of 14 billion. I think, again, chairman had spoken to that, up from 5 billion similar period last year. Whereas other sources of income that was earned during the period was total 38 million shillings. In terms of, we do invest in other assets which have market movements in terms of revaluation gain and loss. We had fair value loss of 601 million shillings, significantly lower than what was realized last year of negative 1.8 billion. And this is the reason for that, of course, was because of rebound in performance in the stock market. Investment-related expenses, 267 million shillings, up from 84, based on the fund which has significantly grown. Hence, the net return on investment was 13.2 billion, up from 3.6 billion shillings last year. In terms of fund operating expenses, 366 million shillings during the period, up from 66 million last year. Hence, the net income before taxation was 12.6 billion shillings, up from 3.4, which is the figure that the chair had mentioned earlier. There is a tax expense which was paid during the year of 16 million. Members, you can see again that figure was significantly higher compared to last year, majorly explained by significant increase in income. Therefore, hence giving us the net investment income of 12.8 billion shillings, up from 3.4 billion shillings. Hence, when you combine the 12.4 plus the net dealings from members of 44, we had an increase in fund value of 57 billion shillings last year, up from 40 billion shillings the other financial period. If we can turn to the next page. Members, this is a statement of net assets available for benefits. If this was a company, this is what will be called the balance sheet, and it explains where these funds are held. They are held in various investments, starting with non-current assets. These are basically fixed assets that the fund is holding, which was totaling 116 million shillings, that's 0.6, up from 8.5. Perhaps a quick explanation for that change is that the Secretariat, now sitting in their own office, had, of course, had to establish the office, invested in vehicles for purpose of mobility of the Secretariat. Hence, that was the reason for that particular increase. In terms of the other investments, we did invest in various asset classes, starting from what we call cash and cash equivalent. This is both cash at bank and cash in investments like treasury bills maturing within 91 days. We had a total of 9.8 billion shillings. And then in terms of investment in treasury bills, we had investment in treasury bills of 24.8 billion shillings. On treasury bonds, we had an investment totaling to 100 billion shillings, quite significant. And then, of course, we have other investment in offshore assets of 2.1 billion, quoted equities which are listed at Nairobi Securities Exchange, the likes of stocks like Safaricom and all the other very blue chip companies, a total investment of 4.3 billion shillings. Hence, the total investment was 141.5 billion shillings. In terms of the current assets, these are assets which are fairly near cash in nature. We had trade and other receivables of 3.2 billion shillings. Hence, when you add that to 141 billion, gave us the total assets of 144.97 billion shillings. In terms of the liabilities which were falling due as at end of that financial period, we have trade and other receivables of 2.7 billion. Tax liability which was payable at that time, 14 million shillings. Hence, the total liabilities was 2.7 billion shillings. If you net that from the 144, gives us the net assets as at 30th of June 2024 of 142 billion shillings, up from 84 billion shillings, which is what the chair had earlier on explained. The rest are notes in support of these financial statements. Just to assure you members that as your administrators, we kept the books of accounts, and I think the responsibility of determining the fair view of the financials will rest on the Auditor General who audited the accounts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rono, for the presentation of financial statements. Let me just recognize a few people who have come. We have the chairman of Lab Fund, Johnson Osoi, Ebumpigia Makofi, a very good friend of mine, the former Speaker of the County Assembly of Kajiado. Thank you, my brother, for coming. We have the chairman NSSF who is here, but also the chairman of NSSF. Thank you, Chair Kariuki, for coming. We also have a very big team of the executive team of KUPPET, the union. I don't know if they're here. Oh, they have not arrived? Oh, down there. Thank you. Simameni bwana watu waone. Thank you for coming, the executive team of KUPPET. Asanteni sana. MC.
Thank you, Chairperson. To make a presentation on the audit report for the scheme for financial year ended 30th June 2024, allow me, representing the Auditor General, present to you Njoroge Waithima. Njoroge. We're giving ourselves 9 to 10 minutes. Kindly. Welcome, sir.
This is the report of the Auditor General. Before I do that, Board of Trustees, members of PSSF, Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Abey, and the staff of PSSF, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to read the report of the Auditor General for the year ended 30th June 2024, beg your pardon. And I want to refer you to page Roman 30 up to page Roman 34 in your document. That is where the report is. And as you can see, the report was signed on 27th of September 2024. And I should take this opportunity to commend management because we were within the requirements of the RBA in terms of the reporting. So basically, I think that is what I want to comment. Now, our report is in 3 parts. Part 1 is on the financial statements. We have part 2 on lawfulness and effectiveness in use of public resources. And part 3 is on the report of effectiveness on internal controls, risk management, and governance. So I will start with part 1, and here I will just read the opinion, which is, of course, the report of the Auditor General on Public Service Superannuation Fund for the year ended 30 June 2024. A report on financial statement, you can see the opinion there. The accompanying financial statements of Public Service Superannuation Fund set out on pages 1 to 26, which comprise the statement of net assets available for benefits as of 30 June 2024, and statement of changes in net assets available for benefits, statement of cash flows, and statement of comparison of budget and actual amounts for the year ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies and other expenditure information in accordance with provisions of Article 229 of the Constitution of Kenya and Section 35 of the Public Audit Act 2015. I have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of my knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of the audit. Now, let me go to the basis of opinion. There, you can see, in my opinion, the financial statement presents fairly, in all material respect, the financial position of Public Service Superannuation Fund as of 30th June 2024, and its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards and comply with the Public Service Superannuation Scheme Act number 8 of 2012. So members, that is what we call an unmodified opinion, or a clean opinion for that matter. And therefore, we did not pick any issue on the financial statements. Now, we had an emphasis on matter on the budget, and I'm not going to read this because it's already indicated in your report. However, this is not a qualification, it's just an emphasis on matter. As the auditors, we are allowed to pick any matter that we feel maybe members need to know. Then from there, we can go to report on lawfulness and effectiveness in use of public resources. So again, this is not a qualification. This is just a conclusion of the auditor. And here we picked 2 issues. Number 1, on unremitted pensions, employer contributions. We are talking about an amount of close to 3.2 billion that had not been submitted as of 30th of June 2024, but we have confirmed that this amount was subsequently received by the fund, by the scheme in the course of the year. That is subsequently after we did the reporting. So the next item is on delay in remitting income tax, installment tax. There was an item there on an non-compliance with the remission of installment tax to the tax authorities. It's just one issue that we picked. And then lastly, on the area of report of effectiveness in internal controls, risk management, and governance, we have an issue on asset tagging. This is an internal control issue, which again we are allowed to bring to the attention of management as part of the internal controls improvement in the scheme. And we had observed that some of the assets had not been tagged. So basically, members, that is the report of the Auditor General. It was signed, as I indicated, on 27th of September by FCPA Nancy Gadungu, CBS, the Auditor General. And as I've said, we were within the statutory reporting by RBA of 30th of September. So I think we'll continue with this transaction management so that we continue meeting these deadlines. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let us appreciate Mr. Njoroge tafadhali. Na makofi jamani. Asante. Now to present us on the schemes of investment, allow me to invite the fund manager, Mohamud Khalid. Even as he comes, we've compiled a list of questions and concerns, and the chair is going through. He'll be able to react to some of those questions later on. Khalid.
Thank you very much. I stand on already established protocols. I will want to cede a minute or two to my MD to just make a few remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll also stand on the established protocols and just congratulate the fund chair and trustees and secretariat for organizing a very, very excellent annual general meeting. We have attended every year. We get better and better. Congratulations. Before I invite my colleague, CFA Abdi Mohammed, to come and tell you how we have invested the scheme funds, I'll just like to briefly tell you what's our role. We just have 4 roles. One is to understand the scheme, understand its objectives, understand its membership, understand its plans, and understand its risk tolerance. And after doing that, we then do what we do every day, which is research on the best areas to invest the scheme money. Then after that, we go and invest the funds in the various asset classes available, and then report back to the secretariat, report back to the trustees, report back to our regulator, Retirement Benefits Authority, and any other government institution. And so I would like to ask my colleague, CFA Mohammed Khalid, to come and now report back on how we have invested the scheme funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. So very, very briefly, I'm Mohammed Abdi. I'm a senior investment manager with Gen Africa team. We were your investment managers or fund managers for the period under review. And I'll very, very briefly go through a very brief report in the interest of time. Our role, I think, has already been explained. We'll go to the next slide. Here we'll very briefly go through the macros. This is basically how the economy performed over the period, and you will note that over the last 10 years or so, GDP has remained largely positive, apart from 2020 when we had the COVID impact. But we do continue expecting, growth coming in pretty much at around that 5% range this year, largely driven by some of the resilience we are seeing from the service sector. Of course, we expect a slightly lower growth this year compared to last year because of some of the challenges that had been explained before, largely more to do with rationalization in terms of government expenditure, and overall in terms of the fact that interest rates have remained largely high and private sector has really come down. But to highlight, we've seen quite a bit of change in terms of those 2 metrics, and our expectation is that as interest rates are coming down, we do expect a positive multiplier impact as we get into 2025. The next part will very briefly talk around the currency, and as you will note, the currency has remained largely very, very stable. For the period under review, the currency did appreciate by about 8%, and since then we've seen the currency remain between 129, 130. We don't see significant pressure on the currency. We do expect a lot of support from both internal and external flows, largely driven by the fact that there's much more positive sentiment once the government was able to refinance the Eurobond, which was one of the major issues that had created quite a bit of negative sentiment in the market. So going forward, we expect the currency to remain largely stable with a fairly gradual depreciation as we get into next year. The next part is a very brief graph. It's very important for also us to appreciate where we are in terms of the inflation trend. And the curve basically tells you that over the last 1-2 years, we've seen a very gradual deceleration in terms of the pressures as far as inflation is concerned. Food, transport inflation has come down, and I think the CS mentioned we are currently at around 2.8. We don't expect to really go beyond the 7% upper band by CBK, and that basically means we expect to be in a fairly moderate environment as far as inflation is concerned. The next part will really be a very, very key item we always look out for. If you look at your accounts, we do have significant exposure when it comes to government securities, and pretty much we are talking of bonds in this case. So the graphs there are just showing the year-on-year movements. The blue one, which basically gives you a sense of where cost of money was in end of June last year. compared to now, end of June this year. And you can see there has been a very significant shift upwards in cost of money between 1 and 7 years. This is basically bonds. But as we are talking today, that curve has really reverted almost similar to what we had as far as 30th June 2023. And as he has mentioned, we do expect that gradual shift downwards as far as interest rates are concerned, which is good news for you in terms of valuation. This gives you a sense around how the local market performed as well as offshore. We currently, as far as your accounts, we don't have exposure to offshore, but we have made particular investments on offshore. Next time we're meeting, you'll see diversification into that particular sphere. But largely, the equity market in Kenya has really bounced back, again, driven by what we've seen in terms of the currency, and again, what I talked about in terms of the positive sentiment in the market off the back of some of the flows that came through from the likes of IMF, World Bank, as well as the refinancing of the Eurobond as well. Now, going into the numbers, which will be the next set of slides, you will note here that there has been a lot of deliberate effort by the Board of Trustees to continuously diversify the fund. And you can note there that we did hold equities, and we've started to see that growth coming in. Currently, we are sitting at around 6%, and hopefully going forward, we will gradually be looking to increase on that, to continuously diversify the fund. For example, offshore Eurobonds, especially this is a Kenyan Eurobonds, and you can see that forms about 1.5% of the portfolio. You'll see next year when we meet here a lot of emphasis into alternative investments. So we have taken cue from the Board of Trustees and working very closely with management to continuously ensure that we diversify away from heavy exposure into really government securities that we had previously. The next part gives you a sense around performance. As you can see, performance coming in very strongly at about 14.6%, and that's really driven by some of the strategies that we put in place in line with the strategic plan to ensure that we continuously able to target double-digit returns for your funds going forward and ensure stability in terms of that return. The next part gives you a sense of where we've come from, and we are quite happy to see that growth coming in quite strongly over the last 2-3 years, starting off as low as 43 billion. We are now at around 155 billion as at September, and as we are talking today, given the new contributions that just came in as had been confirmed earlier, the fund value is sitting at around 176 billion. So quite strong growth, and we really do commend the National Treasury and the Board of Trustees to try and ensure that those contributions come in good time, so that we are able to invest in good time and we're able to actually bear higher returns. I'll not really go through too much in terms of the outlook. I've already talked through that, but I just want to highlight that we are committed to working with the Board of Trustees and the management, and of course the sponsor, to achieving the long-term strategic objectives of the fund, and we look forward to again a much better year as we get into the next couple of months. And I also want to just wish you a happy new year and happy holidays as well. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohamed Khalid. Now, to lead us in the presentation of Custodial Report, let me invite from NCBA, Eden Kaberere. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This scheme is served by 3 custodian banks. We have Cooperative Bank, Stanbic Bank, and NCBA Bank. So I will request my colleagues to join me here. They will introduce themselves, and then I will read the report on behalf of all the custodians. Thank you.
Good morning, all protocols observed. My name is Lydia Mushiri. I'm the head of custody business at Cooperative Bank, and it is our pleasure to be the custodian to this fund. Thank you.
Good morning. Hi, Chairman, trustees, Nicholas Musyoki from Stanbic. We are the custodians of the fund. Thank you.
Good. Having introduced the custodians, mine will be a brief one. So I'll just give a highlight on what a custodian does. Why do we need a custodian? So you'll notice that of the three, all of them are banks. And the reason is, part of what we do is we receive the contributions that come in from your employer, plus also your contribution. So our role is to receive that, to facilitate the fund manager to invest. So there's an element of safekeeping, there's an element of servicing of those investments. It is a requirement by the Retirement Benefits Authority that every pension scheme must appoint a qualified custodian. All the three custodians you see here are licensed by the Retirement Benefits Authority. They are licensed by the Capital Markets Authority, and of course by the Central Bank of Kenya. So it is a requirement that we have a custodian to do that. So what is our role mainly? So number one is that we transact on behalf of the scheme. You have heard of the fund manager talking about the investments that they have made in government securities, treasury bills, treasury bonds, bank deposits. We facilitate that. We make sure that the assets that have come in are safe. We keep that on behalf of the scheme. We collect income on behalf of the scheme. The assets that your scheme has earn income, and that income needs to be collected and received. So that is what we do. We open accounts on behalf of the scheme. We report on compliance. We process payments. When somebody is exiting, once they go through the HR and the secretariat, we do the final payment. And as I mentioned, we also receive contributions, and we report. Part of our role is also a reporting role. So we report to the Board of Trustees, we report amongst ourselves, and at the end of every year, we come back to the members, like we are doing today, to report to you and confirm that the assets of the scheme are safe. We have various ways in which we have made sure that that safety is guaranteed. It is part of what we do. We make sure that as a bank, as banks, we are very forthright in terms of how we mitigate risks. So we make sure that whatever assets that have come in are being processed safely and securely. So this is just a confirmation to you that the figures that you saw being displayed by CPF and the figures that you saw displayed by the Auditor General and the report that they have read, the assets that we have are safe and are being serviced for your benefit. So with that, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eden. Let me invite on behalf of the RBA, John Kerr, to make remarks on Retirement Benefits Authority. John. After John, we'll invite the chairperson to react on the compiled list of the questions, and thereafter we'll have at least 5 questions from members who are here. Thank you. Welcome, John.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As introduced, my name is John Kerr. I'm here on behalf of the RBA, together with my colleague Christine Onyango. I'll just ask her to wave. And we're here on behalf of the RBA team, led by Mr. Charles Mashira, who is our CEO, and he conveys his greetings. I'll read some remarks that were prepared, and then thereafter maybe conclude a personal perspective. The Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Economic Planning, the Cabinet Secretary, Public Service and Human Capital Development, the Principal Secretary, National Treasury, Chair and members of the Board of Trustees, the Chief Executive Officer of the scheme and Secretariat staff, distinguished members of the scheme, present both physically and online, service providers, and members of the Fourth Estate, greetings. It is a great day as we hold the third AGM for the Public Service Superannuation Scheme, the defined contributory scheme for employees of the Government of Kenya, in compliance with the provisions of the RBA Act. Great because today we have had the chance to appreciate the achievements made in the year under review. In that breath, let me take this opportunity to welcome and congratulate the recently appointed chairman, Honorable Wycliffe Wangamati, to the retirement benefits sector. As you will recall, last AGM we had an acting chairperson. This sector is a growing sector, currently with pension fund assets of approximately 2 trillion Kenya shillings held in 1,027 schemes, with a membership of roughly 4.4 million members. This represents a current pension coverage of 26% of the total workforce. With assets currently over 176 billion, the PSSS, as we know it, despite its tender age, accounts for about 8.8% of these assets and is emerging slowly but surely as a model scheme in the industry, testament to its significance in the sector and the economy as a whole. In this regard, the authority welcomes the CS's directive to constitute a team to look into leveraging retirement benefits savings, among others, to finance public-private partnership. We recognize this as a win-win opportunity to grow member benefits, but at the same time, growing our beloved nation. I take this opportunity to sincerely thank the sponsor of the scheme, the Government of Kenya, through the CS, for living up to their promise to ensure timely remittance of funds despite the economic challenges facing this nation of ours. I also thank the trustees for their timeless efforts in ensuring that the scheme is well run with seamless operations, leading to the stability and efficient service delivery to members. As the regulator, through our regulatory and supervisory mandate, we will continue to monitor the scheme closely and ensure that it always lives to its promise to members and within the retirement benefits regulatory framework. Further, we recognize the unique nature of your scheme, and we are working with all stakeholders to ensure that our regulatory environment works for the growth and proper governance of the scheme. To this end, we appreciate the current move to amend the PSSS Act to be aligned with the realities of the day. This is, of course, after experiencing the experiences we've had from inception to date. I call upon you members to exercise your rights to information by reading and understanding the Act in order to understand your roles and responsibilities, rights and obligations. Members should continue actively and constructively participating in giving their views when called upon in case of any reviews or as will be the case in the near future in coming up with the regulations for the scheme. Honorable members, you are the scheme. Every shilling of yours is attributable to a member, and the trustees play a critical role ensuring your funds are administered in the manner lawfully administered in the Act. This is a kind reminder for us to all make their work lighter by taking our responsibilities in the scheme with the due respect. Let us take the basic initiative of ensuring that we nominate our beneficiaries as provided in the scheme manuals. Please be reminded that your pension benefits do not form part of your estate, and therefore it is only wise that you update your beneficiaries as and when necessary. Finally, members, I urge you to ensure that you attend the member sensitization and education forums organized by the scheme through your various departments and ministries to gain an in-depth understanding of how your scheme works and to have insights of how to prepare for your sunset years, which are a guarantee. RBA also organizes training for members at no cost, and you should not hesitate to attend one whenever it is in your locality. You are encouraged to visit our website for news and events on what's happening from a regulatory perspective near you. Having said this, I am happy to report from the regulatory perspective, the scheme has filed all the required returns in compliance with the RBA Act, and upon the assessment of these returns reports on matters governance, prudential and market conduct, your scheme is very sound. Let us give the trustees and the management a clap for that issue. We commit to continue engagements with the Board of Trustees and management to guide them on the salient issues affecting the scheme and, more importantly, managing risks inherent therein. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we are all on a journey to retirement. Retirement is a gateway to the next exciting, relaxing phase of life. It is the beginning of new possibilities, personal growth, freedom, and dreams. To get there, we humbly advise you to prepare adequately. Financially, through saving and investing, hence this membership in the retirement benefit scheme. But there are also other aspects, socially, psychologically, and indeed physically. We have also been reminded of the low retirement benefits coverage of the workforce, 26%. I want to take this opportunity to challenge each and every one of us to encourage at least one person who is not a member of a scheme to join a retirement benefit scheme today, so that collectively we can ensure we have a society where old age is not feared but is welcomed. In conclusion, I once again want to congratulate the scheme for holding this third AGM. Wish you all the very best and happy holidays. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Kerr. We now want to invite the chair to come and react on compiled questions, and thereafter, chairperson will have at least 5 questions from the crowd. Your Excellency, chairperson, sir.
Thank you, Moses, the MC. I think before I comment on the questions that we have received, let me recognize the CEO of Agile, I think the IT providers. Anthony, where are you? Thank you. Thank you, Anthony, for coming. Before I comment on some of the questions that we have received, can I ask Calvin, as part of the agenda, just talk about the remuneration for the trustees?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, members, the law requires that the trustees report on the remuneration of the trustees, and I have been allocated this agenda to prosecute, and I will do just that. So this is the report on remuneration of the trustees. The trustees are paid sitting allowances and other remuneration for expenses at the rates approved by the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury and Economic Planning, in line with Section 18 of the PSSS Act. The sitting allowances are paid at the rate of 28,000 per meeting, subject to tax. The trustees' remuneration paid in the year 2023-2024 financial year has been disclosed in the annual report and the financial statements as prescribed in the Retirement Benefits Good Governance Practices Guidelines of 2018. Chairman, I thank you.
Thank you, Calvin, for that statement. Before I comment on the questions that we received, we need to adopt the financial statements for the year ending 30th of June 2024. If there's anyone who can propose, and then second.
I'm here.
Where are you?
I'm upstairs, second floor. I'm here.
Yes, your name?
I'm CPA Adam Katana.
CPA Adam Katan, proposer. Seconder?
My name is Melvin Sisoni. National Treasury Pensions Department. I second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Now, members, let me just run through a few questions that we have received. And of course, as the MC has mentioned, if there's any question that is outside what we have already received, we'll be happy to comment on it. The first question, I think a member did ask, am I allowed to contribute above the 7.5%? And will my employer top up to match my contribution? My comment on that is a member is allowed to make additional voluntary contributions. You can make additional voluntary contributions above the 7.5% to increase your retirement savings, but the employer will not contribute more than the 15% that they are doing currently. So yes, you can do more than 7.5%, but the employer will not do more than 15%. The second question that we have received is, how long does it take to pay the benefits upon exit from the service? And I think this is where PSSF will come in handy, sorting out this issue of payments to civil servants' pension. The scheme will process and pay retirement benefits within 30 days of exit. So within 30 days of you exiting your employment, you should be able to receive your retirement benefits in relation to the service that you have been a member of the scheme. The third question is that what will happen if you invest and you incur losses? Does it mean that I also lose my contributions? I think the answer to that question is that we guard against losses in the scheme. The PSSF is guided by an investment policy statement developed by the Board of Trustees on the advice of the fund managers, and we ensure diversification to ensure that maximum returns with minimum risks. The PSSF is also guided by guidelines outlined by the RBA Act on how to invest this money. So we try as much as possible to ensure that we have a diversified portfolio and ensure that we minimize that risk as well. The fourth question is, how do I access my statement of my contributions? I think I did comment on this in my statement as the chair of the fund. You can access your statement of your retirement saving account through the USS code, and also you can also log through a link, members.pssf.or.ke. So you can actually access, and it's real time. The moment you go on that portal, you can see the contributions you have made, the contributions the sponsors made, the investment income that has added, and the total at that point. The fifth question was, do I lose my savings if I change employment and I'm below 50 years of age? I think the answer is that your savings will not be lost. If you move employers from one employer to another, the RBA Act in this country does allow you to transfer your benefits from this PSSF to the new employer, or you can retain it here and then access it when you get to retirement. So you don't lose your benefits. Is there a formula to calculate my benefits? There's no specific formula. This scheme is what we call a defined contribution scheme. It works in a very simple way, like a bank account. You put in money, 7.5% of your contributions on a monthly basis. The sponsor, the government, puts in the 15% of your salary. That money is invested, and it is then accumulated until you get to retirement. And if you have any additional voluntary contributions, that is also added there with investment income. So when you get to retirement, you'll have a pot of money. A third of it will be paid as a lump sum. The remaining 2/3 will then be used to buy an annuity that you'll be receiving on a monthly basis until your death. So that is how it works. There's no it's not a defined benefit scheme where there is a formula. How safe is the scheme? That's the seventh question. How safe is the scheme and the investments? What safeguards are there to guarantee my savings several years later when I will retire. Our comment on that is that the PSSF is regulated by the RBA Act and managed professionally by a board of trustees with the advice of service providers. The fund is also guided by its strategic plan to ensure that it is financially sustainable and proper planning so as to avail retirement benefits when retired. Yesterday, I think I was on TV, and I say that I think the pension industry is one of the most regulated industry in this country. When your contributions come in, they go direct to the custodians, and thus we have the three banks, Stanbic, CoBank, and NCBA. Then the fund manager is alerted that we have received contributions. Then he has then now to direct on how that money is invested, and that direction is based on an investment report statement that we have agreed as a board of trustees with the fund manager. So in terms of governance and in terms of the legal framework that we have, the pension industry is probably one of the most regulated. These service providers are also regulated. The banks are regulated under the Banking Act, and also the service providers are also regulated. Maybe if there are any other questions that I think I have about 5 people who want to ask questions. There is Timothy Wechuli, Elizabeth Mudange, Sarita Ketui, James Kangede, and Adan Katana. Please, you can ask the questions so that I can. Timothy Wechuli, yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. First, I want to appreciate for being part and parcel of this PSSF. I first go with a remark that we want to thank you because PSSF, we see that it, one way, I mean, clear, always at time we walk around, I see people there at Treasury, and especially the retirees. So if PSSF is going to clear that mess over there, we'll appreciate, because 30 days upon retirement, you have your money, that's fine. Okay, my question is, one, maybe why did you choose Treasury bond? And how long does it take? Because we want to be understanding the issues of Treasury bond. Last but not least, the question about, I've seen trustees, and when we came to awareness of this PSSF, we were told that it is 45 years and below that are getting into the scheme. I see the trustees, but on a lighter note, maybe you are past that age. And we want to be part and parcel because, I mean, you people, maybe you are paying the sacrifice. But the people who are beneficiaries are those that are below that age. So maybe you'll tell us maybe how, if there's inclusivity, because we want to be issues of inclusivity to be there. So that when, I mean, there's an issue ahead there, we don't say that those people that started the scheme, we want to say that you, of course, you are part of this and we've been working with you. So I'll pray for an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. The second question, Elizabeth. And Mohammed, you'll be, where is Mohammed? You will answer that question of the Treasury bond. Later on, I'll call you. Let's just pick the questions first.
Okay. Good afternoon. All protocols observed. I'm Elizabeth Mudenge. My question is that suppose the investors do not gain and that they're making a loss, how will you go about it? Number 2, will we be earning dividend from our savings? Thank you.
Sarita Ketui. Thank you, Elizabeth, for those 2 questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed.
Where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Okay. My name is Sarita Getri from State Department for the Asphalt and Regional Development. My question was regarding the period it takes to access benefits after exit, but it has already been addressed. So my concern is that period practically possible? And if not, what measures are being put in place to enhance the implementation? Thank you.
James Kangede.
All protocols observed. Afternoon. What will happen to our pension for the years served before the introduction of the contributory scheme? And how will it be calculated and is there any policy to guide the same? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Adan Katana, and the last one.
Yes, this CPA, Adam Katana.
Where are you?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, boss.
First of all, before I ask these two questions that belong to members of this scheme, because personally, I'm okay with the scheme, and I appreciate the Board of Management for the management, the way you are managing the scheme, since it was given birth to us. And again, I'll appreciate again the report. I've seen the order reading for us, that we have a clean report and a qualified report showing that indeed we have a going concern of this scheme. And civil servants being a member, being one of the civil servants, I appreciate, and civil servants know by the time they retire, they will be having benefits equally to those in parastatals. Now, let me ask the question that I was sent to ask, because at times again, I represent members, civil servants in the Union of Kenya Civil Servants as their secretary, Nairobi CBD. They asked me, when I come here, I ask you this question because some or few of them are suffering. That imagine a civil servant who was employed back in 2004 and he was in the other scheme. They said it was used to be in CAP 189 and they used to contribute that scheme, and now they have done three years in this scheme, and by bad luck, God calls them or they go other side. That their dependents are suffering. Somebody to ask how the linkages between the other scheme and this scheme, because someone told me that we are having a few cases where the dependents of those who joined the scheme now 3 years and they had served 16 years, 20 years in the other one, they are still having a disconnect. Maybe if you can make a clarification on that point, will it be appreciated? Number two, they told me again that can they be able at the time during the period of contributing this scheme, can they be able to withdraw some money to do their own emergency issues as they continue to contribute, or they wait till retirements? But indeed, all in all, they say everything is good and this scheme is being run well. And again, they say, let's embrace succession management. So that in that board again, try to put in young blood so that again they can know how to run and learn from how we are doing things for the future of this scheme. Thank you very much.
Pigia Aden makofi kwa hiyo maswali. Number of questions. I think there are two questions that I'll ask Mohammed to comment on, but let me just run some of the questions. Starting with Sarita, she did ask whether the period of 30 days is realistic or not. I want to assure you that the 30 days is very realistic. In fact, we have been talking with Jonah, it should be between 2 weeks after exit. Once we have all the available information, once you exit, within 2 weeks to 30 days, you should have been paid your money. So it's very realistic because we have the funds. You know, the money is there, your data is there, so it's very realistic. The second question was on by Elizabeth about what happens if there's a loss or gain, and if we actually normally pay dividends or not. Let me just comment on the issue of dividends. What normally happens that every single year, like today, we are here, we have analyzed the financial statements of how the scheme has performed over the last 12 months, and we have declared an interest on your contributions and the sponsors' contributions of 11.9%. So we have added that return of about 12% to your members' contributions. Now, it's not typical like cooperatives where you then now can get that money. No, that money is added, bail up until you get retirement. That's when you'll be that's when you'll be able to access the money. So it is not your typical cooperative where you get dividends on an annual basis, but we declare interest on an annual basis, bail it up. Last year, at 30th of June 2023, I think, Jonah, we declared about 5.5%. This year, because of the good performance, we have declared 11.9%. So if you were there last year, your contributions and the sponsors' contributions were compounded by about 5.5%. This year, the interest that was last year as well has also been compounded by 11.9%. So that's how you build the money and get to retirement. You'll be able to access a third of it, and then 2/3 will be used to purchase an annuity for you. What happens, James Kangede, and I think this is the same question that Aden has asked, the period before PSSF, and I think it's important that, we talk to this, and I'm happy Director Mike, Director of Pensions National Treasury, is here with us. If I miss anything, Mike will come and clarify, because I think he understands this better than anybody else in this room. Basically, before PSSF, there was no funded scheme. There was no money that was being put aside to finance retirement benefits for the public, for the civil servants in this country. So what normally happens, and that's what the CS was talking about, that on an annual basis for the service before, for an annual basis, national government does budget on an annual basis that puts money in the budget and say, look, the people who are supposed to receive pension this year, we budgeted this, and we will pay them the benefits based on the numbers that we have received. So for the service before that, the person to go to is the Director of Pensions Treasury. And Mike, maybe once Mohammed comments on the investments, you may just want to come and comment on this, because I think you understand this better than anybody else in this room. For service after that is PSSF. So it's important. So when you retire and you have 16 years, the way Adan has mentioned up there, under the old scheme, that benefit then will accrue under the Department of Mike, and they will be responsible to pay for that. Then the 3 years, we as PSSF will then be responsible for that payment. So you'll receive two components of retirement benefits, one from PSSF and one from Pensions Department in Treasury. I hope I have tried to answer that. And then there was the issue of the Treasury bond, and also there's the issue of representation and the youth. And I think I can only say that we have taken note of that, and will ensure that there's a representation of the youth on the board of trustees. Mohammed, two questions: why Treasury bonds, and what happens if there's a loss or gain? And I think if there's a loss or gain, Mohammed will come and comment on it, but I tried to answer it in one of the questions. we try to have an investment strategy that is very well diversified to minimize this risk. But Mohammed, come and comment why treasury bond and what happens if there is a loss or gain.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for those questions. I think the question was on the context of why we invested in treasury bonds. And if you to look at the RBA investment guidelines, government bonds are allowable in terms of investment to the tune of about 90%. If you to look at what we've done since the last 2 years, what we've done, we've continuously reduced allocation to treasury bonds. Now we are around about 71, 72%. Specifically, why last year? Remember last year or the period under review, the returns on treasury bonds were probably the highest we've seen in terms of the cycle. So it really made a lot of sense for us with the Board of Trustees to consider taking advantage of that. And that's one of the reasons you're seeing the investment returns are quite high. So that's long and short on that. Loss or gain, is it in the context of bonds? Okay, generally. So generally, if you to look at the markets, we, as the chair mentioned, what we do is we try our level best to invest with a view of reducing the risk to the portfolio. So over time, the idea is to increase the total return accrued to the portfolio. We definitely go to the market. For example, if you go to the stock market and the price movements in terms of shares do have sometimes when they move against you. But generally, if you to look at it in the context of the portfolio, we ensure that ultimately how we've positioned the portfolio in terms of asset allocation with the diversification at center stage, it does still able to deliver returns very much close to the strategic objectives that the fund have put across. So when we go in there, we are investing in an asset. We always look at it in the context of the portfolio. What is the asset adding into the portfolio? One, is it increasing the return or is it reducing risk? So those are the two parameters we look out for. And over time, we ensure that those two parameters are balanced. So we'll always have episodes or cycles where the returns will come down, but given the fact that we are long-term investors, we'll always look at value over the long term, which is exactly how we invest for your fund. Thank you very much.
Mike. Yeah.
Honorable Chairman of the PSSF, the CEO, the esteemed trustees of the scheme, distinguished members of the scheme, let me also take this opportunity to congratulate you on the 3rd annual general meeting of the scheme. Now, I've been invited here to make some clarification on the benefits that were accrued before one joined the public service superannuation scheme. So you did probably hear from the speech of the chief guest that one of the engagement that has been happening is the drafting of the regulations which would give a basis for actualizing all the payments, whether accrued and the ones then that are paid out of the scheme. And the minister did point out that we are at the final stages of concluding the regulations. Indeed, we had hoped that we would have been able to conclude and close that gap before Christmas. But it looks like we may probably just cross over with it, and just because being a legislative arrangement, it needs to be processed through the delegated, the Committee of Delegated Legislation in Parliament. What we can assure you, therefore, is that for the component that was accrued before joining PSSS, for any member who has already qualified, become eligible for it, and this is, of course, those are the exits which have happened. They are not many, but they are, significant. And in any case, for us administrators of pensions, one case is big enough, and we take as big concern even for one case, like we would for multiple cases, we definitely so sure that within January, we should be able to settle all of them. And as the chair has said, the same matrix they've given in PSSS within 30 days, significantly also for the portion that accrued at the cap 189, we also have made arrangements to ensure that once we start processing, it shall also be paid within the same period. Having said that, allow me a moment, because my cabinet secretary and the PS did ask me to also announce in this forum about the portal we launched. And this portal basically is for persons who have already exited service and are receiving public service pension from the pensions department. Those who were on the payroll as of October this year. What we have done is, in order for us to bring the same efficiency, such as you have desired in your scheme, we also have realized we have to go the technology way. So what we are doing in this portal, you are registering yourself, giving us the basic information. And because it's on eCitizen portal, once you log in using your ID number or the pension number, because my pensioners know their pension numbers, then your other details populate and allow you to proceed. So you will be required to upload very simple documents. Basically, for the principal pensioner, your ID, both sides of the ID, and the documentation that shows where your account is held. And that is basically the front face of the card you use. So the one that shows your name and the account number. With that then, we will be able to migrate you to a system that we'll be commissioning early next year, and which will be your digital payment for purposes of pensions. So allow me therefore to urge all the pensioners who are in payment to go to eCitizen at the National Treasury portal, navigate to the pensions department. The service is listed as pensioner self-registration. And together, we are going to secure our futures in retirement. So once again, Honorable Chairperson, we do thank you for this opportunity. And may God bless PSSF, and you have a bright future. Thank you.
Mike, thank you. Ebupigia Mike Makofi. This man, when I was talking about Treasury helping set up, host the Secretariat, the man who was behind it is this Mike. Mike, thank you very much for that. There's one question that I've been given here. I think somebody has asked, what is the impact of NSSF deductions of 6% while we also have PSSF? Now, NSSF, of course, is a compulsory national scheme. It has Tier 1 and Tier 2. What is impacting members, and this applies to everyone in this country, is Tier 1. In Tier 2, when you are a member of PSSF, then you don't contribute to NSSF. Tier 2 only applies to those who are not members of occupational pension schemes like PSSF. It only applies to the basic Tier 1 only, which is affecting everyone in this country. I think that's the end of the question and answer session, MC. Yeah, any more questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause to our chairperson, please. Makofi. Thank you, thank you. We are coming to the end of our third annual general meeting. But before that, let me make an announcement. We'll have our luncheon for VIP on the first floor. Then members will have their lunch at Savo C. Please pick your meal cards at the registration desk. Let me take this opportunity to invite Madam Vice Chair Agnes Mwenda for a vote of thanks. Dr. welcome as Madam comes. Dr.
Thank you very much, members. As we come to the close, please let's all be patient until we have the last comment. I know our April Vice Chair is going to make appreciation and move a vote of thanks, but allow me to appreciate the members of staff of Public Service Superannuation Fund who really did organize this function, led by the Able lady who was the chairman of this committee, Angela Kipto. I want to request the members of staff to stand, and members will be able to note and appreciate you. All the members of staff, please. Yeah, thank you very much for making this happen. We do really appreciate. And again, without taking words from the Vice Chair in a vote of thanks, I also want to appreciate our chairman in a special way. Chairman, you have steered this committee very well, the Board of Trustees. For the last 6 months you have been with us. We really feel the impact and the passion and the dedication to make this scheme great, and we really appreciate this, Chairman, together with your Board of Trustees. And of course, as we have the Chairman, we also have the Vice Chair, who is always available to give support to the success. I also want to appreciate you, Madam Vice Chair. And all of you receive my appreciation, because we could not have done the AGM without you. Thank you very much all, and God bless. Karibu, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman. The Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Economic Planning, the Cabinet Secretary, Public Service and Human Capital Development, the PS, National Treasury and Economic Planning, all the CEOs from various state departments, all the invited guests, the Board of Trustees, members of the scheme, and all the guests that you have invited to celebrate with us this day. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is my distinct honor to deliver a vote of thanks in this particular occasion on behalf of the board, the members of the scheme, and all of us that are seated here. It is a great occasion that without you, we could not have achieved it. We have made it to be a colorful NGM. Thank you very much. Today's event was a remarkable success, and this would not have been successful without the contributions from each one of us sitting here. Our online members that are viewing virtually, we appreciate you. Thank you for turning up in big numbers. We say thank you. The occasion is colorful because of your presence. To all our esteemed, esteemed members and guests of honor, I take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt gratitude for turning up to grace this occasion. Your insightful and thoughtful and thought-provoking address, all the perspectives that you have shared with us, have provided with clear understanding the challenges and opportunities ahead, especially in ensuring the sustainability of our pension scheme. To all the stakeholders present, allow me to appreciate the government of Kenya for the visionary strategic leadership that they have planned and executed to ensure that all the officers upon retirement will not only get a prompt payment of their pension, but they are going to ensure that they retire in dignity, and also it's a process that is going to lead to eradication of old age poverty. To the employer, to the government of Kenya, on behalf of the members of Public Service Superannuation Scheme, we say a big thank you for planning for us as we work, and even upon exit. We really appreciate. To all other stakeholders, the members, thank you very much for your participation. the commitment, all the questions that you have asked, the suggestions that you have made, the discussions that you have made together. We are going to put them into consideration as we ensure that all of us, we are dedicated to the welfare of the beneficiaries. Other stakeholders, allow me to appreciate the regulator, Retirement Benefits Authority, the CEO represented by able leadership from Retirement Benefits Authority. Through your continuous monitoring and supervision, through periodic evaluations, you have been able to ensure that public service superannuation scheme goes or is managed towards the right direction to ensure that members' pension, which is the last bullet, is safe and secure, that upon retirement, our members are going to get timely benefits because of good management. So RMBA, thank you very much for being a regulator of all registered schemes. We appreciate you. To the unions, allow me to appreciate the corporate leadership, NAT leadership, and the Union of Kenya Civil Servants. Thank you very much for your commitment and active participation. All the engagement that we find in the past and even today, we appreciate you all. It is in this spirit of collaboration that we strengthen our shared mission. To the board of trustees and the management team, thank you. Your commitment to transparency, accountability, and prudent management continues to inspire trust and confidence. Thank you very much for driving this public service superannuation scheme in the right direction. At this point, allow me to appreciate the heroes and the heroine who are the founders of this scheme. It is a team that laid the very first foundation for this scheme to be. And at this point, allow me to appreciate Mr. Titus Dabuki. Thank you, sir. I also appreciate Entrant, the second, he was the second chairman. Allow me to appreciate the first CEO, Alice Nyariki. These are the people, together with all other trustees that are not present, we appreciate you as a board. We are able to continue today because of the very foundation that you laid. It was not easy, but through it all, you ensured that public servants have a contributory scheme. Thank you very much. To our service providers, the board cannot deliver without you assisting us in every way. For the administrator, as you have heard clearly from the team, this is a department that ensures that member records, the data is in place. And with this being in order, then it means that upon retirement, our members are going to get timely benefits because safe and accurate data that is in place. So the scheme administrator, thank you very much. To the fund manager, again, you found very well that this is the team that does a lot of situation analysis. They do research. This is the think tank of this scheme. For them, boards cannot be able to invest in viable projects without the fund manager. So at this point, allow me to appreciate the fund manager, that is Jean Africa, and the leadership of Patrick Kariuki. We celebrate you, sir, with your team. Asanteni sana, we have been able to invest, and this far, we are celebrating victory because the investment that we have done up to this particular juncture, they have yielded greatly. And that is why we are here today, celebrating the far we've come by the grace of God. For the fund custodian, again, you found very well the three banks that are taking care of our resources or the funds. They have given their testament. They have already confirmed that the report that is in the audited book of account, that one is a correct and the correct status of the scheme. So we appreciate you for doing due diligence. We appreciate you for doing and giving the trustees feedback every step of the way. We've been able to manage the scheme because of collaborated effort and the report that you are getting from the credible service providers that are in place. So thank you very much. A big thank you goes to the organizing committee and the KICC staff, whose behind the scenes effort ensured that everything ran smoothly, from the logistical arrangements to the technical setup. And finally, allow me also to thank each and every participant today. Thank you for making time to be here. Thank you for participating actively. All the questions that you have asked, all the suggestions that you have made, we have taken them and we are going to actualize them for betterment of the scheme. As we move forward as a team, allow me to say that let us all remain united. We remain united to the goal of public service superannuation scheme to ensure safeguarding the interest of the members and also to ensure that there is long-term sustainability of the pension scheme. When together we do that, then we can be sure that today as we serve, today as we manage the scheme, tomorrow the future generations will be happy because people somewhere did the due diligence, they managed the scheme well, participated well through collaboration, and that far the scheme has stood firm. Allow me to say this, out of the people that you have recognized, allow me to say that our R&D director, Mr. Kagika, has been appreciated, but this is the gentleman who could burn midnight oil from the scratch, thinking on what is it that is going to happen with this contributory pension scheme. It was in paper, there was nothing physical. But through the team, with the current CEO, that was Madam Alice, they ensured that this scheme is in place. So may the Lord bless you. We appreciate you in a big, big way because of what you did. That is the reason today as a board, we are able to implement the act in a easy way because of the sacrifices that you made. May the Lord God bless you. And finally, thank you very much. As I come to the conclusion, allow me to appreciate the police band. They have made the occasion to be very colorful. A clap for them. Asanteni sana. Maybe you are sitting here, I have not been able to mention your name or to mention the department that you have come from. Allow me to say a big thank you to you. Asante sana kwa kuja. Thank you for gracing this occasion. And thank you too for sitting there for all those hours until the end. May the Lord God bless you. May God the Lord continue to bless Kenya. May the Lord God continue to bless Public Service Superannuation Scheme. And finally, I finish by saying, I wish you a Merry Xmas, a Happy New Year 2025. God bless you. God bless Kenya.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Now, if you had any concerns, any questions, we've taken them via WhatsApp. We also have got our stewards that are in white and cream. So if you got anything to write down, please write and be able to give it to them. Chairperson, sir, Board of Trustees, ladies and gentlemen, please let's all be upstanding for the national anthem. Khalid Mohammed for the closing prayer. Khalid.
Let's be up and standing.
Well, a very good afternoon. Those are live pictures from the Kenyatta International Convention Center right here in Nairobi. The third annual general meeting of the Public Service Superannuation Fund has just come to a close. It was the third AGM that was held, just providing an opportunity for the fund to take stock of achievements in the past financial year and, of course, the challenges that they have experienced and what they need to do moving forward. According to the report that we have received, is that the fund has continued to grow in the past 3 years. For instance, in terms of the membership, the numbers currently stand at 442,929. And of course, remember, this is in a span of 3 years, and the members have drawn from the civil servants, the disciplined personnel, that is from the National Police Service, the Prison Service, the National Youth Service, and the teachers employed by the Teachers Service Commission. In terms of the numbers, the fund value for the fund grew in the last year by 57.49 billion shillings. Initially, the amount stood at 84.74 billion shillings, and it currently stands at 142.22 billion shillings. Earlier on in the morning, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, that is John Mbadi, was in the House, and of course he talked about how important it is for trustees to avoid wrong investments and of course unnecessary expenditure. He said that spending this money that has been contributed by members in a manner that is not prudent will see the retirees endure years of suffering after retirement. And of course, the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Justin Muturi, was also here, and he emphasized on the need to uphold integrity at all times. And that is what we have brought to you live from the Kenyatta International Convention Center. And on behalf of the entire team that made this broadcast a success, we thank you for your time and we wish you a good afternoon. My name is Nancy Okware.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth weight the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday. With me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunongwa. Hadija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
Kamene. I keep on telling you to retire from speaking English. But you are like that stubborn girlfriend who cannot even go after breakup.
Attention, Baroque ladies, the golden boys have just arrived.
Michelle, yeah, this is yours. For being an obedient and hardworking student.
Wow. This class is full of haters. Haters!
As from today onwards, yes, you are not a physical physician, but you are a mortuary mortician. Kinyanji, you are a really miracle worker. Not yet. The miracle has not yet been done.
Leo mwambia pigia hata police station zote zikama. Leo stoki hapa bila maziwa. Hata nikwambie sasa hiyo ndio upate. Sasa jua ni ngori nikukwambia stoki hapa jua ndaacha nimechinja mtu hapa. Sawa?
Na Hassan hakulishi. Na Hassan hakuvishi. Na Hassan hakupeleki auti.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside.
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Need it